How come I look like that? So, so I just sent an email out or a text message out to let my friends know that I'm live, um, just to be live. So hopefully I'll get somebody to some friends to come join me for today. I'm excited, and this has been one of those days. Um, just trying to get it done. I have been live on my TikTok, and now I'm live here. Just enjoying the Labor Day holiday, and looking forward to some good conversation with friends or with family or whoever wants to be a part of it. I apologize. I apologize for that because it looked like I'm naked, but I'm not. I have a dress on, so don't think that I am. Um, just sitting here and reminiscing over so certain things. I have been on my TikTok platform um, for the past 2 days. And if you are new to TikTok and new to lives, that you have to do a certain amount of time in order for you to have this kind of forum or have this kind of conversation. So it's I keep doing the wrong thing. It's on this side that I'm trying to get to. This side. Oh my God. this side that I'm trying to get to. Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to it. So, and what I was talking about over there. So yesterday at church, my pastor had shared in his sermon yesterday is about telling your story. And so it encouraged me to want to be here and do exactly what I'm doing right now is just sharing my story. And a lot of times what happened, thank you. A lot of times what happens is that sometimes you get stuck in situations that you can't get yourself out of, and that's primarily where I am now in the situation that I'm trying to get myself out of. And it's kind of hard to get yourself out of a situation if you think that you have great intention, and you think that you have um, put your best foot forward. And at each time that you put your best foot forward, nothing happens or nothing becomes of it. It just becomes a stagnant situation. And so in stagnation, nothing moves. You can't take anything out and you can't put anything in. It's just stuck. So when I get stuck in this situation, I resort to what I know best, and that's nothing. So I either trying to work myself up out of the situation, or I stay where I am because it's comfortable for me. And at times, that comfortability can be a problem because I'm afraid to want to do something different, to get a different result. And so the insanity of it is just that I just stay because I think that it's going to get better, and it's probably not going to get better, and this is where I am again talking about the same thing that I've been talking about in my podcast and on my TikToks and all my things. Is about just developing a relationship first with God, and then developing a relationship with myself, and understand what is good and for me and what is not. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, um, I have not taken the time to figure out life on life's terms when it comes to certain areas of my life. And I put a big emphasis on the fact of being in a healthy relationship, but I can't put an emphasis on a healthy relationship with someone if I'm not in a healthy relationship with God first, and then what a healthy relationship within myself. And of course, I'm still grieving. So I'm grieving the loss of my mom who passed away in March, and now I'm still grieving, the loss of her and her family. So, grieving through this process, I'm making poor decisions. And making those poor decisions, that means that I'm allowing myself to stay stuck in situations that's not good, or allow myself to be placed in conversations, or placed in a time and place that is not good for me. And I understand that, sometimes um, we all have choices. I have a choice. I have a choice to be out of the situation that I'm in. I have a choice. But because I'm comfortable and where I am in that situation, I just stay. So and staying, it does not do anything for me. It's not making me, prosper ahead, or, move ahead or anything like that. It's just making me stuck. So I'm trying to find my way out of this situation, and not and do the less harm. Now, the less harm for me is me. Trying not to allow myself to get too depressed, too lonely, too tired, too angry, to that kind of situation. But I keep placing myself back here thinking that the result is going to change. And if the person does not change, then the result is not going to change. It's going to continue to be the way that it is. And I have to figure out a way how to remove myself from the situation so it does not take me out of um, the place that I'm going. Now, I understand that um, time and opportunity, time and opportunity. And time and opportunity for me, it's like I don't see it. until yesterday. Let me just turn this off a little bit so I can stop being distracted. Okay, so all the people that I invited to come on to the to the live. Yeah, so I'm live now, and so just going back to that piece, I have to make sure that I'm comfortable in the decisions that I make, and making those conscious choices. And so, like I shared earlier, and my other platforms and my other talks, that I'm making a conscious decision to put me first and foremost in my decision making, because if I don't, I'm going to fall victim to whatever it is that's going to happen. And sometimes it's not best for me, because as much as I want to move forward in my life, I still find myself being drawn to a situation that's not good. um, Yesterday I had the pleasure of meeting someone that was okay, and it was refreshing. And and being refreshed by someone, it was like I have a good opportunity to be in a type of friendship first, and a type of place that I would want to be if if I allowed myself to be there, and allow myself to be where I wanted to be where I could be, and just allow myself to be free. One of the great things about me is that I'm open to anything. I'll talk about anything and I'll say anything as long as it's positive, or it's going to benefit me in some way. It's just, um, you know, just a good space to be. If I can be open to someone else or allowing someone else to be in my space, I'm okay with that. Um, I said I said a lot of stuff earlier, but I should have, videoed and recorded that time as well. But it's kind of hard when you're just getting into this platform, and starting to do it differently. Just being live is a new adventure for me, so I'm excited. So some of the things that I want to say, happy Labor Day to you all, and just enjoy your day off if you can. Do some of the stuff that you have to do for yourself, and be okay. Eat something good, drink something good, and just be okay. I really don't have, Miss Joanne, I really don't have a topic. I'm just talking. If you have anything, I'll be willing to talk about, as long as it's healthy and important. I'm open. I was hoping that some of my friends would come up and join me, but so far nothing. But I'm okay with it. I'm just getting my own feet wet in it, so I'm okay. So I apologize. And like I was sharing on the other side of this, um, yesterday at service, our pastor was telling us that we should go ahead and tell our story, and we are the best people that can tell our story and share the goodness of the Lord, and that's important. A lot of times, people make narratives about your story, and you not being able to um, tell the truth or share your truth because it's people add and delete the things that benefits them. They create a narrative about who you are before you can say it out loud. So what I sometimes say to myself that why should I have to beat someone to the punch to tell my story? Because it's my story. The only people that will benefit from telling that story or spinning that narrative are people that want something out of it. Um, I don't have. I'm an open book. I'll tell you anything. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. It's going to be the truth because it's my truth. I don't shy away from anything, and I've never had. I'm not afraid of any situation. And speaking about any situation, unless it's going to hurt or harm someone else. That's the only exception that I have. I don't stop and think about certain things that I say because I will spit it out. And I don't have a problem with that. Everybody probably knows that. I will tell you anything that you want to know. Um, but as far as my personal story, I am a God fearing woman. I am a mother of two adult children. I have two granddaughters. I have I've been in the field of that I work in for over almost 26 years now. I've been at my current employer for the past 13 and a half years. Um, I'm single at 54. Looking to jump back into to the dating world, but dating for marriage only. Um, Putting me first, that kind of stuff. So I'm okay with that. Exploring different opportunities. I apologize again. My friends are asking me where I'm at because I also have a another platform that I use, and I'm normally on there talking. So the narrative, sharing what that experience is, and being okay with whatever decisions that I make for myself that's going to be beneficial for my lifestyle, and and understanding what that means and how it is. Understanding that once I put God first in my life, everything else is going to fall into place. And it's like I've been saying this for the past 2 days. Just no one can tell your story better than you. No one can share your experiences more than you can. So you just have to be a person that's going to be experiencing what it is that you what you have to give and what you have to share. You know, one of the great things about me, again, I don't have a problem with sharing about any situation. This thing, nope, this side. I have no problem with sharing about any situation that's going to help somebody. My goal in life is not to hurt anybody, and to provide whatever it is that I can provide for you. But um, to thine own self be true is my favorite saying, and that's what it is. I'm true to myself, so whatever I say to myself, I mean it. There's nothing that I get from telling a lie because it's not going to get my bills paid. It's not going to take me to heaven or hell. No one has that control but God. And as long as I have Him as the head of my life, I'm okay with that. So there's nothing that I have to worry about because no man, human man or being, has has the ability to do that, and just making sure that everybody understand that aspect of themselves, because I understand that aspect of me, because I've always been a person who give my all. And if I don't have it financially, if you need it, financially, and if I have it, I'll give it to you. But I give my all in what I do I do it from my heart. I do it from the place of positivity or happiness or sometimes pain, because pain can make you um, want to just be negative. Now, in my specific situation about pain, how I feel about pain, if you don't heal from your pain, then you'll still be stuck in that situation if you don't allow yourself to grow. And what I've learned in dealing with grief, just like I said, I just lost my mother in March. So, in losing my mom, I lost my mom, but I also lost her side of the family. So, I'm grieving that loss as well. So, I'm trying to encourage myself to not believe that, this is not what it's supposed to be. Maybe I'm placed in this specific situation for a reason. And whatever that reason is, I have to find it. So, in finding myself, that means I have to go back to the foundation. I have to go back to square one, where my father and my mother were those principles of from church and God and Christ and, you know, inspiration. I'm inspired to find out the reason why I'm experiencing the experiences that I'm experiencing right now. If that's a tongue twister, but that's what it is. I feel that if I can get past it, get past my past, then you can get past your past as well. By making myself this vulnerable and this transparent to others, it gives them encouragement. And what I do every day for a living, I'm inspiring and encouraging, motivating people every single day. But what I don't do is take what I give to them for myself. What I do is I give it all out, but I never take anything in. And then when I get around positive people, um, to to be a part of me, I always give my whole self, my vulnerabilities, my insecurities, my heartaches, my all of those things. But sometimes some people, they take and they use it to their advantage instead of giving me support or encouragement. And in this period of time, I have experienced a lot of good people, and one who is on the line right now, who has been a person that I really admire, and she gives, or it gives me support, and we reciprocate it. And that's the exchange that we have towards one another. If I'm going through something, I give it to her, and then she will give that feedback back, and then we will grow together. And in the years that we've known each other, that's what it has been. So, with that exception, every person that I come in contact with, that's what I expect to get back, reciprocation. And that's not the case at all sometimes. And I find myself um, being stuck, and I find myself being frustrated with how people mistreat me at in my family, at my workplace, and my personal relationships. I'm being mistreated, but I'm giving out all that positivity and I'm getting negativity back, and it's not fair. So, how do I deal with that? How do I deal with people's mistreating me, their misunderstanding, their projection of their faults or their failures or their jealousy or their envy? How do I deal with that? I pray, and I've been praying. And what I do is I pray for them as well. I pray for my family, friends, and enemies. And I pray and hope that at some point, that they can take a look at themselves and see where what they're doing has an effect, a cause and effect to whatever it is that you're doing. If you treat me bad, and I don't treat you bad, I turn the other cheek, because that's what you're taught to do, is turn the other cheek, then it should be reciprocated. Even if you don't like anything that I have to say, if you don't like anything about me, I'm never going to say anything negative unless I'm forced to do so. And if I'm forced to do so, if I share something negative with you as a friend, I would hope that you would keep it to yourself and we would discuss together, not maliciously, okay, but just sharing my feeling for that moment because my feelings change from second to second, okay? And that's with everything and anything that I do. Understand that my intent is not it's not malicious. It's not to hurt or harm anyone because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help and motivate, guide, and inspire if I can. And I may not be for everyone, but for right now, I'm here for me. And if I can help someone, I will. And again, working in the helping field for the past 25 and a half years, it's a lot. That's all I know is to help and be a helpmeet to someone. So thinking about, my personal relationship situation, it's not being reciprocated, the goodness that I get. And so I become I am hurt. And they always say hurt people, but I think I'm the exception because even though I'm hurt in this situation, I will never hurt anybody else. Um, Even though people give me their backs to kiss or their back and they stab me in mine, I will never do anything that's going to hurt or harm them because I won't. That's not how God told me to be. That's not how I'm supposed to be. So I have to just, continue to be inspirational or continue to be motivating. And it's not easy at times. It's not easy for me to motivate others when I'm hurting. It's not easy for me to put a smile on my face and on the inside I'm feeling down or I'm feeling like I'm not worthy of it. My self-esteem in this past 2 weeks have been fluctuating from high to low to none to this to that to the other, and it has to stop. I have to find a way to stay encouraged, and um, words, things, situations have to change, and it starts with me and it ends with me. What happens is that I take my focus off of the goal. I take my focus off of, the changes that have to be made, whether those changes, well, not whether, they should be made by me. I need to make the changes on how I deal with situations. I need to make the changes. I apologize for this keeps sliding down. So I have to make changes on how I give things out and how I receive them back. But just remembering that I'm a person, I'm a human being, and I have feelings and emotions, and they get hurt easily. And that's the thing. I don't change the person that I am in any regard. This person that you see here right now is the same person I'm going to be when I'm not on here live. I'm going to be the same person when I go to sleep tonight, and when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be the same person, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm still going to be the same. So, and that's just, again, that's to my default in some cases because I don't change. I don't change to be a positive person on Monday, a negative person on Tuesday, a hard person on Wednesday. I don't change. I'm just the way that I am. So, because I'm that way and I get hurt easily, your intention may not be to hurt, but your intention is to hurt. And again, going back to that saying, hurt people is true. But if you've never been taught how to to live beyond your pain, then how do you do it? How do you learn to get past your past without resorting to or conforming to what people will have you conform to? How do you get past those old hurts from childhood going into trauma? How do you get past never learning how to accept a hug or um, a compliment or something good that happened when you're so busy being beat down all the time? How do you deal past that? How do you get past that, rather? And then that was my case. I took an inventory about how I let people just dog me out because I was never taught how to defend myself in the sense that I will not get hurt. I was taught to be quiet and let it work its way out without standing up for myself or asserting myself in certain situations. So that's how I get hurt. A lot of times what happens when I don't, because I have to keep it on the I, don't assert myself, people walk all over me. And that's in every aspect of my life. But when I do assert myself, I can be aggressive in this nature. So I keep quiet. Now, a lot of times, again, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm talking about me, I get aggressive easily because for so many years I internalized everything that people did to me. And I let it affect me with depression or low self esteem or low value or low self worth, that kind of stuff. That's how it was for me. I internalized it. But now I can insert myself in how I'm supposed to be treated. But if people see me quiet when they do something bad to me or negative towards me, that's my own protection because I know where I can go. I know that I can act a certain type of a way, but why? Why conform to where people want me to be? I'm not going to do that. So when I'm quiet, or when you see a tear stream down my eye, it's not because I'm I am, sad or I'm angry, and I know what can happen if I do something wrong. Let me just stop away for a second. Okay, I'm back. I had put something on the stove. I apologize. and and it started burning. So I know how it is to allow people to continuously beat you down, and what I'm used to is just go ahead and cry about it because that's my defense mechanism. But as an adult, I have to learn how to do it differently. And so that's what I've been working on for the past couple of weeks is try to work on it differently because if not, I can find myself in a situation where I can't get myself out of. And I have to figure out, healthier ways to deal with it. So as I assert myself pro socially in a situation or in any situation, I have to understand the pros and cons of it. Is it worth me even dealing with? Because sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth the time that I put into it. It's not even worth it because it means nothing. People two things to do things to press your button, and when they press your button, it's to see how you're going to deal with it or react to it or respond to it. So in my head, I have to remember that I have to remember to keep the focus on me because they're going to continue to do what they want to do, but it's how I deal with what they do to me. So in my personal, like I said, in my personal life, I've been so used to accepting the the narrative that is painted in my personal situation that I don't explore different opportunities. I don't explore how I can um, do things differently. I just sit in a situation thinking that it's going to change by itself when there's no work being put in and no work being put out. It's just stuck. So it's like being that rat the wheel that you keep going around and around in a circle. That's where I am. But today I'm stepping out of that Ferris wheel because I know that I have a better life ahead of me if I just put myself in a different space and do something different and stepping out on faith And that's why I'm here on my live today, stepping out on faith. Pastor said, tell your story, because you never know, it might help somebody else. And that's basically what I'm doing. My friends that's on here, I told them that I was going to be live, and they know my story because I've been sharing it for the past 4 or 5 years. I've been sharing it. And um, today and yesterday, I went back to basics. My platforms, my YouTube, my podcast, my TikTok live, all of that is what is how I get over those hurts. It's how I deal with my life on life's terms, because I'm talking about it. I had the pleasure of being on my TikTok live earlier, and someone from my past who encouraged me to be into social services, who gave me my very first job in residential, was on my live. Like, she knew me from when I was a little girl. She knew me and saw something in me back then and says, "Hey, I have this program and I want you to come work in it." And I did. I worked in it until I was 24 years old, from 19 to 24. And I'm seeing how this person gave me that opportunity because someone gave her the opportunity to be a director of a group home. And she was trying to give me an opportunity, and she did. So she ignited something, or she saw something at me that made me feel, I can do social services for the rest of my life. But I transferred into another aspect of it, of social services. But now that's where I'm at now. So in doing all of these things and teaching all the people that I teach every day, or when I do my work, I encourage them to understand that everything that you want to do in your life it starts with you and ends with you. And I need to take hold of that myself. If I want a different result from what it is that I'm experiencing, then I have to do something different. And Joanne, it's okay if you're an emotional person, because it happens. Because you are emotional, you deal with everything on your sleeve. There's no hiding what you're feeling, good, bad, or indifferent. So it's okay to be that way, because I'm that way as well. But the person that I hurt the most when I'm being emotional is me, because nobody knows, nobody is feeling the way that I feel. So if you step on my foot and my reaction is just be quiet, knowing that you stepped on my foot, internally, on the inside of me, I'm going to deal with this person stepping on my foot. And naturally, you were, hey, you on my foot, but not me. I would just take it. So that's emotional. Like, that's that feeling. Physically, I know that nobody's supposed to be stepping on your foot, but emotionally, I wouldn't say something out loud, and that's okay. But that's the old me. But the new me say, hey, you stepping on my foot, and I will confront that situation. Now, I might not, resort to a curse word or a threat, but I'm going to acknowledge that you stepped on my foot and you need to get off my foot. You know, being emotional does not always mean that you have to accept everything that people do. You can be emotional and assert yourself differently. Now, the difference between assertion and aggression is just that. Asserting yourself is standing up for yourself, but aggression is meaning that you're going to be aggressive about it. You're going to be this, this, and and that's not what you want to be. Assertive is being matter of fact. Matter of fact. That's what that is. So understand that when you begin to uh, get through your hurt, get through your past pains, get through your past, then those things that you used to internalize, it now becomes something that's external now. So you could say it out loud. Hey, you hurt my feelings. Or hey, I didn't like what you said to me. And then that person gets to hear what it is that you're saying. I don't like the way that you said A, B, C, and D. And I feel, or I think you should think about what you're saying to me. So now you tell them how to treat you in this situation. how to communicate with you in this situation because you've expressed to them that you didn't like that feeling. When you place your hand over a flame and you place it there and that feeling that you get is hot, so naturally you're going to do this, you know. The same thing with your emotions. If someone hurts your feelings, you can say it out loud. Hey, you hurt my feelings. And whether they respond to you positively or negatively, you express that. So now when you walk away from that situation, you can walk away being satisfied or not, because everyone does not feel the way that you feel. And that's what I had to learn. Everyone is not going to feel how I feel. Everyone is not going to respond the way that I feel in any situation. And I have to accept that. I have to meet people where they are if I want them to be a part of me or my life or my circle or my anything. So if you are a person, and I have to go back to this great conversation that I've had many times before, when you think about people and their situations, right? People act off of what they experienced, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, or they react with not knowing. And if they don't know, then they do something stupid. In my personal experience, I realized that people speak to me and treat me a certain kind of a way because I don't yell, scream, curse, that kind of stuff. But if you push my buttons long enough and you push my buttons long enough, you're going to get that reaction because I can do it, but it's under submission. Okay. I can do it, but why? Because where is that going to lead me? That's just going to make me just like you. And I don't want to be that. So when dealing with people, you have to remember that you're looking at a person for the present person, but you're not looking at the person of what he or she have went through in their personal experiences. And it takes you to those traumas and those hurts and those abandonment issues and those anger issues and where they come from. And then recognizing that they're not dealing with you as the person that you are today. It's something that you triggered in them to get that response. So in developing healthy communication, you have to verbalize and express that. So even if you are an emotional person, you can still get what you need out and let them know that I don't appreciate it, and then accept that where it is. Because when you dealing with someone else and they're dealing with their emotions, they're dealing with their past hurts, they're going to project that onto you. And so now it's like, what do I do with that? What do I do with this person who projected that hurt onto me? What do I do with this person that's chronologically 74 and acting like a 14-year-old? What do you do? So just remember, when you're an emotional person or any person, just deal with how you deal with it, and then either educate them on how to speak to you differently or leave them where they are, because they're never going to catch up. And I share that in like in a personal relationship. Sometimes when you get into personal relationships with people, you think that you're with a mature male or female or a man or woman, and you realize that you're dealing with a child because they have not caught up with what their chronological age and their immaturity level is. And then when you look at all of the other factors that happen, what happened in that childhood that makes this person this way? What happened in this experience that triggered this behavior or this reaction from this person? So you have to take a look at it because everybody wasn't raised in the same way. I was looking on TikTok earlier this morning, and there was a gentleman who said, you know, he apologized to his wife because he married her under false pretenses. Because in their married home, and I'm just paraphrasing what he said, yep, they act like adults with very immature ways. You're right, definitely that. And he said to her, you know, I was raised in a single parent home where my mother was mother, father, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, this and that. whereas his wife was raised in a two-parent home where the communication was open, where it was healthy, where it was this, where it was that. So when they got married, he dealt with it the way he knew how, and she dealt with it with the way she knew how. And she ran back to the source of her protection, which was her father. So when he said they had the discussion or the disagreement, he had to remember that how he handles things was totally different from how she handled things. And so he had to take a step back and apologize to his wife for the way that he responded to her. And that's important. Just like my good friend just said, some people act like they're adults, but they are very childish and immature. And you have to go back from where it came from. Every male or female wasn't raised with men or with a father or a parent or a guardian or someone to give them that. They had to develop it. And the way that they developed it could have been from negative, the people on the street, the teacher at school, those negative people that put those or instilled those behaviors in them. But now that they're an adult and they're dealing with real life situations, and remember or remind themselves that no one taught them how to communicate, no one taught them how to receive love, no one taught them how to embrace a hug or a compliment. Nobody taught them that, including myself. Nobody taught me how not to allow people to walk all over me. Nobody taught me that, because I was always taught to turn the other cheek. You know, as an adult, I learned, but that's not how I was raised. And when I share that part, it's important, because in some of the acts as an adult, I just lost my mother at 53. I was her youngest. I was spoiled, and I'm still spoiled. You know, who gonna spoil me now? Nobody but me. So I might act a little immature in certain situations because I've been spoiled or raised, two-parent household, didn't have to do anything, that kind of stuff. But now as an adult and having children and grandchildren, I got to let them see that I am a parent. I'm an adult. I'm grown. And that's what it is. Acting accordingly. And I might get a little bit emotional right now about it, because my good friend just said some people are adult acting very childish or immature. When I moved my mother here with me before she got sick, I lived by myself, and my children stayed with my mother. Not that they stayed with her like because of any reason, because when I moved away from them, I was an adult. We haven't lived together in a little while, but they stayed with my mom because that was what they knew. And I have to say it this way because it's important to me. Before my mother died, passed away, she had to see me in this role as mother. She had to see me in this role as provider, as nurturer, as all of those things, because we was distanced and we didn't live together for a long time. But before she died, she did see that. She did see that I could parent my children. She did see I could be responsible with bills. She did see all of those things. And that was important to me, because she needed to have seen that. Because then she wouldn't have been at peace. She wouldn't have been at peace, because my children are adults, and when I left them, they were adults, and they're adults now. When I moved out for the first time when I was 37 years old, I lived 4 doors away from my mother, and my mother every day would come out with coffee, breakfast, and everything, just if I was still living there at her house. So in a way, I had some independence, but I didn't have independence at the same time. But before she died, she did see that. She saw that I can be a mother to my children. She saw that I could be responsible. She saw all those things, and that was good for me, because now I know that I can't be selfish. I can't be spoiled. I can't be all of those things because that's not who I am. I'm responsible now for my family. I have to make sure that I do everything in my power to make sure that I'm not raising no immature men, with the exception of my oldest son who had an accident. But my children can fend for themselves, and to live with them and to be around them, and us be a family, that's awesome. But that's some of the stuff that my mother instilled. Like, I didn't have to get up and clean up. I didn't have to get up and, do my laundry. Now I do my laundry. I cook. I attempt to clean. I do those things, but I do them because I know that my mother is looking down on me, my father is looking down on me, my siblings are looking down on me and saying, "Hey, you doing this? You know what you're doing." And I appreciate that. But some people just didn't have that. Some people don't have that, and they still are stuck in their ways. And the hardest thing to look at is a grown person that's chronologically 54, 64, 74, acting like a child. And then you have to remember where that come from, how that get there, because they didn't have something that happened. I was fortunate enough to be an adult when my father died. I was 27. I was fortunate enough to be an adult when my mother died when she died when I was 53. And I was an adult. So I really don't have an excuse for some of the immature ways that I have other than spoiled. And that's what it is. But I've grown past that part. Other people would see that and take full advantage of that because they can see how and say you're not prepared to be a wife because you don't know how to cook from the soul, or you're not prepared to step into this role because you've never had to do before. That's a story tell now. You can't say that because I've done that. Those are excuses that people use when they hear what you have to say, and then they use that against you, and then that's the immaturity in them. And then going back to adults acting like children, you have to remember that everyone is not at the same space that you are. And as women, we are older, much more mature than men are, anyhow. So where they are 2 years behind us, and whatever the age that they are, 2 years behind us, and whatever age that they are. So if I'm 54 years old and I meet someone that's 54 and he's a male, I'm in his eyesight, I'm the mature and older one. Or if he's 60 and he's acting like he's 13, I'm still a mature one because he has not, caught up to what the level of maturity that I have, plus 2 years. So understand that in male female relationships, that's how it goes. We mature quicker than men. And then if they're men of a certain age, they're set in their ways, so they're not going to grow beyond where they are. And we have to take a look at that as women if we desire to be in relationship with a man. um, they may not have that maturity in them. Chronologically, they may look that way. They might be 64, 74, 84, but in reality, they might be 14, 13, 8, 9, 10, wherever that trauma happened, wherever that, their growth was stop. And God forbid if they had, an issue with alcohol or drugs, where that what part that played in it as well. And then if you've never dealt with those issues before, dealing with abandonment, being an adult and my father dying at 27, and being feeling abandoned by my dad because I he didn't get a chance to walk me down the aisle. He didn't get a chance to do all those things that fathers do, that girls want the father to do. And then for my mom to pass away, and me not even be married. Is don't even see it in the cards yet. Not let my mother see that I am a wife. She saw me as a mother. She saw me as a mima or a grandma. She saw me in that. But to be a wife was what my desire is, to be a wife. My parents will never get to see me in that role because they're not here physically. They're in my heart and in my soul and my spirit. But to physically walk me down the aisle or to see me be in preparation or to be a wife, that part. So when I think about all of those things, you know, um, people take that for granted, that they were raised a certain kind of way. And when you look at it, when you start to do a self inventory of yourself, I did this about 2 years ago. Well, maybe three now. I was in a long term relationship with someone who didn't value who I was as a woman, and as a woman who valued him and edified him and cared about and loved him and still was love him and in love with him. He didn't value that part of it. And that's only because where he stopped at, there's some stuff that he has to deal with, that and he may not want to deal with it. But that's where he is. He's stuck there. And so sometimes what happens is that when people get stuck, there's no putting in and there's no taking out because they're settled in the space that they're in. Now, as for me, when I started to get into this relationship, I started to do the work on myself. I knew I couldn't be spoiled. I knew I couldn't be a woman that didn't cook or clean. Now, the way that I clean might not be to your liking, but I do have the ability to do it as long as my kitchen and my bathroom is clean. I'm great because my bedroom is my space. With the fact that I got 1,000 pairs of shoes and 15 other thousand pairs of forms of clothing. So that might not be what you're accustomed to, but don't put me down because that's not what you don't like. And then to go back to what my friend said about being childish and immature, don't use it as a tactic to say this is the reason why I'm not going to marry you because you don't cook and clean. Really? Don't use that as an excuse because that's only two areas of my life. But what about the part that I'm taking care of my family? I'm being responsible with my money. I'm doing those type of things. I'm edifying and putting you up high on a pedestal. But all you do is bring me down. And then what do I do as an emotional person? I accept it. And so when I and I'm having enough, I'm asserting myself in my own self and saying, hey, I've had enough. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be spoken to in this manner. I don't deserve for you to give me your tail to kiss every time it's convenient for you. And then because I'm a human being and I deal with the flesh every single day, that I fall victim to the flesh. And that's not right. Because if you can't edify me or if you can't uh, give me a high five or some motivation or some encouragement, then what are we doing here? We only doing here. We only satisfying the flesh, and that's it. There's nothing else because I can't get anything out of you financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I can't. So it's the flesh, and you have to read between the lines because I'm not certain who's on the line right now. So if your physical self is all you have to give to a person, and that's all you've been given, including myself, that's all I've been given, then that's all I receive. So my love that I have on the inside of me, the love that I have because I'm in love with you and I love you, is not being reciprocated. So now I'm defeated, I'm depleted, and I'm depressed because you didn't pour into me like I poured into you. So now that I have a greater understanding of what that is, the blows don't hurt as much anymore. The immaturity or the childish behavior don't hurt anymore because I already know that. But as this is going on, I'm looking at myself to say, hey, girl, you can get out of this. You can be strong enough to get out of this. You can walk away from this and be okay. And having good people like my friend that's here, having good people in my corner, having good people to say, you got this. I know what it's like. And that's again going back to what my pastor said yesterday about telling your story. I could tell a story of how stupid I've been in the past 53 years, only having two adult relationships in my life and allowing those persons to come in and take my time and not allow me to, just blossom. And then still holding on to the hope of a reality that he might change, knowing that he's not, because I'm settling for this situation for no reason. There's no reason. And then settling for the idea of what could be. And if you've ever followed me before, and if you ever heard my podcast, Just Talk with Lenore Candid Conversations on Spotify, you'll know how my history worked. You know, just dealing with the everyday crisis of being not married, considering I have that desire. And that's what I say all the time. I have a desire to be married. First conversation. And to my default, again, it might be an issue, but I want to be married. That's who I am. So I'm going to say it first conversation. And I've heard before that no, you got to wait, you got to do this, you got to do that. No, you put it out on the table now because you know what you're expecting. So if you don't want to be married, then you need not to talk to me because that's my desire. So moving forward, September 1st, 2025, I'm dating to marry. I'm dating to marry. I'm going to speak to you or have conversations with you to get to feel of who you are and what you are, but I'm dating to marry. I'm also open, and my flesh has to be put under submission. And I have not prayed for God to do that yet because I'm not ready yet for that part. Because if you're a woman of a certain age and you're going through menopause, that comes and goes. So it's not just natural. So I don't ask for that desire to be taken away because it's already doing it by itself. So I apologize, ladies, but that's just me. Okay. So, but it's just the mindset that I have for me. I'm dating to marry. I'm going back into this with an open mind because no matter what I did for the past 10 years and being stuck in that relationship, I don't carry it into the next relationship. I've never done that. And like I said, I only had two adult relationships. And when one ended, the other one began. And now that this one is ending, the next one will begin. And the next relationship that I get into, may it be him or someone else, it's going to be my husband. And it's going to be said in the beginning, I'm dating to marry, and that's it. Don't think that, men don't hear that part of it and think that they have a challenge, that they accept the challenge. I accept, I accept the challenge to make sure that that I have a physical relationship with her first. And then I'm going to walk away and leave her stranded. And that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you allow people to just manipulate and love bomb you to death and to provide you with that hope. And because I'm a hopeless romantic, I fall victim to it all the time. And I'm still a victim of it. And because I'm a victim of love, and I love love and I love everything about love, I'm just hoping that one day it's going to connect. He's going to connect on his word. He going to do what he said he's going to do because he is a man of God. And who is he to lie? He a man, and he will lie. And he has done that and still do it. But when it's convenient for him. But in all of this, you know, all of this, whatever it is, this still thing that comes to my mind is that this is a hurt 8-year-old child in an old man's body that has never got past his past and not even got get past it, but to recognize that this is the reason why you can't move forward in anything that you do is because you can't get past your past. And once you can get past your past, it'll be easier to move forward. And I can go back into my history. I'll go back to 2 years ago, for my mother's 90th birthday. Her children and I decided that we're going to give her a 90th birthday. But prior to that, my mother was the hardest person ever on me. She was hard, 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 hard. And because she was hard, I had a resentment because of her, the way that she would treat me. Although she spoiled me, she just treated me hard, 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 hard. And so when her 90th birthday come about, it was like reflecting on all of those things that those hurts and those issues. And then once the party came about, and I realized that, you know what, this is my mother. She 90 years old. I gotta let that stuff go. Let it go. I let it go. And she had the best, beautifulest birthday ever. Beautiful 90th birthday party. And it was awesome. I'm still paying for it right now. It was awesome, because I let go of those hurts. And if you don't let go of those hurts, then you will continue to let it be a problem and a problem and a problem. And like I share with anyone, you know, when my mom got sick, the people that she was in care of, including my children, they let mom say, you know what, I'm taking my medicine, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, because we didn't see those signs of dementia coming in. We didn't see those signs. But when she came to see and live with me, then those signs came, we understood what they were. My children just thought that that was super grandma. She was there. She was herself, and she wasn't. Even at her 90th birthday, she was a shell of her, who she was, but nobody knew that. And she couldn't recognize the people that was around her. But my mom was strong. And she heard your voice because she liked to talk on the phone. Then she knew who you was. She could see and everything like that. But because dementia was setting in at 90, we she would say, well, who is that? Well, I don't remember who that is. She would just say it secretly. And then you have to, tell her who that is. And that's how that was. But, it's just like that. When things happen, you have to recognize what it is that's going on and see the signs and be able to deal with it, get educated on it. I didn't have any education on how to deal with mom with her diabetes and deal with her dementia and deal with, all of the things that was going on with her. I didn't. But just know I learned. I learned, especially with that daggone insulin machine. Boy, I went through four in 2 weeks. I didn't even know how to give my mom her insulin. That's how bad it was. I had to watch YouTube channel 17,000 times to learn how to inject her with her insulin. And then for her to tell me every day that I gave her insulin that I'm supposed to give it to her in her finger. And that's not the insulin. You don't give it to her in her finger. You give it to her in her stomach. But that was where her mind was. So every night I fight with her and she goes, you supposed to give me my insulin in my finger. And I was like, no, mom, that's not where I give you the insulin, that's where I check your numbers at. So that was a fight, 4 machines down, but I ended up learning how to do it at the end. If I didn't get past the past and resentments and hurt and all of those things that I experienced with her when I was growing up and not understanding what it was, then I wouldn't be able to have taken care of my mother until she left. And then doing everything that I needed to do for her, sacrifice herself so that my mother could be okay. And that's what I did. But if you've never got over a hurt, then it's going to stop you in any area of your life. And that's where I believe I was. I'm so busy thinking about how to please other people that I have not pleased myself. And if I would have taken a look at this 5 years ago and this the relationship that I was in or that I'm in or trying to get out of, I would have left in. I would have left in. Because how do you reel someone into a relationship that you were not ready for and then make me believe that we were getting married after giving me a ring? How do you deal with that? I did it. And I did nothing wrong. That's only because the stuff that he never dealt with in his past is a hindrance for him in his now and possibly his future because of that immaturity, the immature acts that he has. Very childish. But when you look in the mirror about the situation, when I look in the mirror, I take responsibility for my actions because I allowed myself to get this deep in this situation, which caused a soul tie. Unraveling that soul tie, it could go just like that if he was to do something like marry somebody else and it'll go away just like that. But each time somebody tells you, I'm never going to get married, each time someone tells you when you think about future, I don't have nobody to leave my anything to, but you're in a relationship with a person that has 2 children and then 2 grandchildren. So you do have somebody. Anytime where someone tells you that uh, you no, we have to sign. I said, in order to be in our relationship, I was willing to sign a prenuptial agreement. I don't have anything, and neither do you, but I'll sign. When I come into this marriage in is what I come out of it. Now, and making that conscious decision to write on a prenuptial agreement, that's fine, perfect. Because if I hit the lottery or you hit the lottery, you take your lottery winnings and you live your life. We'll be together, married, but you live your life the way that you want. But if I hit the lottery and we're married, I'm going to take care of you too. It's not reciprocated. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what happens all the time. People get in these situations with another person and they're not mature enough to be in a relationship. And I fell victim to that part. He wasn't mature enough the kind of relationship that I have, what the kind of love that I have. He wasn't mature of that. And I was naive to believe that he could be that mature because the things that excited me and kept us and is keeping us connected, it still keeps us connected today. So that tie that I have to let that tie be severed and cut because it's not it's not going anywhere. So when people tell you when they talk about soul ties, it's a real situation. I'm living a real live soul tie right now because our connectiveness is not physical, it's not emotional, it's not mental, it's spiritual. And that's how I felt, and that's how I am right now. But the more times that I look at it, relationships are built on more than just that. But the principles and the foundations of what a relationship is built on, if if he does not know, and if you don't know, or if I don't know, the only way that we can find out what it is look at the people around us that's in healthy relationships. Learn about what healthy relationships is. Learn about like what it is inside of yourself that you're missing. And so when I get into this area that I'm in right now, I start to do a self inventory and find out where what I'm missing. And so I go back into those places where I look at um, how I was raised, or I look at the abandonment or the rejection or all of that good stuff that I had. And the fact that I only had two adult relationships in my entire life. Why? Because I hold on to garbage. I hold on to garbage. I'm a hoarder. And when you hold on to garbage, that's what happens. And so that's where I find myself holding on to garbage. And so when you hold on to garbage, when you hold on to garbage, it begins to stink. Okay. And so when garbage starts to stink, you have to throw it out. And because I love to a default, it's like I can't throw that garbage out because I think it's still the expiration date. It still it says 9/1/2027 instead of 9/1/2025, and you're supposed to use it or throw it out. I keep holding on and holding on and holding on to it. But as I'm growing and who I am, I know better. And so I will do better. And like I was sharing earlier in my TikTok podcast, having the foundation of people that surround you that can pour into you, and that's what it is. So I pour out to others all day, every day, but I never pour into myself. I never give myself an opportunity to to grow and to see where how far I've come. Physically, you know, I've grown in some areas. I had to grow up real quick. I had to be responsible real quick. I had to do what I had to do for myself because who else is going to do it? And like I shared, in my family situation, my mother's family, they disconnected themselves, and so did I. Now, if I choose to go back into that situation with them, I can, but I'm not going to be the one to put it out there first. I won't do that. And I can't say that my mother's son has not been trying, but because I'm so hurt by their behaviors, I can't see it. Now I'm not malicious. I have no malice in my heart towards anyone, but I'm not going to allow them to dictate how I feel anymore about them. So my mother's family is my mother's family. But as far as myself is concerned, like taking a look at me, and not asserting myself in certain situations. As I shared a little bit earlier about being aggressive and being assertive, you know, I can be as sweet as pie, but I know on the underside of being sweet as pie, I can be a hard behind too. I don't let everybody see that part of me because it's not necessary. It comes out when it has to come out. But just know I'm taking a record of everything that you did do or say to me that's wrong. And I'm keeping it somewhere. May it be in my phone or be in my journal. I'm keeping a record of it. And then when it's time, I will pull it out and use it to the best of my ability. But understand that again, hurt people hurt people. And getting back into, relationships, people, if they have never healed past their past, or if they have never been shown how to love or how to communicate, then they only do what they know. But if you know better, you'll do better. And that's the thing that some people don't do. I recognized that there were some issues inside of me that I had to fix. And when I fixed those issues, my life became easier because I was able to say, hey, I'm dealing with abandonment issues because my father died when I was 27. So in my relationship, I was looking for a man to replace my father. I could say that out loud because that's what I did. Because he had some qualities that resembled my father. He had some things that, that was like, yeah, I could see, my father doing A and B and C. Then I overlooked the other things that he was doing that was not good. Like just recently when you tell me that, you started to date other people, and then every other sentence that you have for me is me dating someone else. I didn't do that. But because you say it out loud, you think it's right. Because you say that I love women and women are never going to be out of my life. Oh, okay. But if you're in a loving, committed relationship, no other woman should come before the woman that you're with. I might be wrong. So when I think about all of those things, you know, the disrespect that I've dealt with, and I let just keep going and going and going. Today is different. September 1st, 2025 changes everything. The game has changed, baby. Okay. This is a new person. Just like when you took that dunk and you got baptized and you came up as a new creature in Christ. That's how I am. Today I'm a new creature in this world. Okay. Of living life on life's terms, single and mingling, not being afraid to step out on faith, or not being afraid to step out on whatever it is that I have to step out on if I'm going to be happy. For me, to thine own self be true. My desire is going to always be my desire. And until it comes to fruition, I just got to keep hoping and praying that it will come. But in the meantime, while I'm in preparation, I have to make sure that I'm doing everything that's acceptable in God's sight, that's acceptable and what He'll have me do, because He's first and foremost in my life. And so if I'm living this different lifestyle, walking for God like I am, but flawed at the same time, repenting at each cost, you know, again, as my prayer goes, Lord, forgive me for all sins known and unknown, and majority of the sins that I commit, I know, and the biggest one is fornication. Boom, and I know that, and that's the one that I have to deal with for within myself. That nothing else. Fornicating. How do you deal with that? Take a look in the mirror. I have a friend that she's so strong, and she cannot fornicate, and I wished I had that ability, but it is what it is. But that's something I have to put under submission, and I know that. But like I also shared earlier, is that when you're in menopause, that that comes and goes anyway. So I don't have to ask God to fix that because it's working itself out. But when I think about everything that's going on with me, I just praise God that I'm here to talk about it today. So this is my story told my way. Thank you for being here, and thank you. God bless.